What's up peoples, Daniel Day back again with another unboxing video. Today we're going to be checking out my brand new 4th gen Astro A50 wireless headset and base station for the Xbox One and PC. I've been using Astro headsets for years now and I'm anxious to check these out for myself, so let me grab a knife and we'll get right to it right after the break. Okay, so here's a close-up look at the front of the box, which lets us know that we did, in fact, pick up the Xbox One and PC version of the headset. There's another version of this that's made to work with the PS4 and PC, which is silver and black instead of the gold and black seen here. But as I do the majority of my multiplayer console gaming on the Xbox One X these days, I opted to pick up the Xbox version. On the side here, we get a really nice picture of the side of the headset, and that's about it. Moving on to the back, we got a bunch of info about the new headset, such as this indication that it supports the new Astro Audio V2, which is supposed to make everything sound better. Here it lets us know that the headset is Dolby certified. We're looking at a 15+ hour battery life on a single charge, perfect for those long gaming sessions. This headset features the same flip up to mute microphone that's been used on Astro headsets for years. It also works as a sound card when connected to your PC, which definitely comes in handy. We've also got support for the Astro Command Center software for customizing the headset sound profiles, ports, and all that fun stuff, which for the first time is actually going to be available directly on the Xbox One as an app, not just a program running on your PC. ModKit support is once again here, allowing you to swap out the ear covers and the top headrest portion with synthetic leather if you're into that sort of thing. And finally in this section, support for 3D audio and Atmos for the first time on the A50. And they even include a 2-year subscription to the Xbox One version of Dolby Atmos, which is totally awesome. Up top, we have a few more pieces of information and then a diagram with a whole bunch of other info that we're totally going to skip over because I really just want to play with the headset. This side here has a cool design on it. It looks like this is probably where we're going to open this box up. And then on the bottom, we've got a full list of the package contents and specifications. All right, let me grab a knife and we'll cut this open. All right, so inside the box, we apparently have another box. Not sure how well this is showing up on camera, but it's got some cool designs all over it. It's very reminiscent of the previous Astro unboxings that I've done. Pretty sure that my 3rd gen box had basically the exact same markings on it. Looks like we found the seam here, so let's go ahead and pull this open, and wow, there you go. The headset itself right up top in all of its beauty. You know, picking it up, it is definitely lighter than the previous version. That is immediately noticeable. It's got a very similar look to my 3rd gen A50s for sure, but I can already spot a few differences. The microphone is way more flexible than it was on the previous version and supposedly sounds much better than it did before as well, which I'm totally looking forward to. The plastics seem to have the same soft to the touch feel that I really enjoyed about the last set. We got a little Astro logo going on under there. It looks like the mounting for the swappable headband part on the top seems to be a little bit different, and on the other side it looks like we've got the same game and volume balancer switches as before, which I actually use quite often. Glad to see that they have not changed those at all. You can basically push one side or the other to increase the amount of game sound or party chat sound that's coming in, completely independently of the master volume, which comes in handy when you're playing with folks that tend to speak more loudly or softly. All right, it looks like we've got the same metal adjusters on the side, and they seem to be much harder to move up and down, which is actually a good thing, since they'll probably stay where you leave them better than they did on the last gen, which kind of tended to slide around a little bit more easily, so definitely a good thing. Looks like the tops of the little metal adjusters are quite a bit different as well. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you can pop this top head portion off, which allows you to install the ModKit version if you want. Then you can just snap either one of them back on like this. Looks like we've got some little plastic wrap on the mic. Let's go ahead and get that off. Inside the ear cups here, we can get a look at the drivers. Now, these ear covers actually just pop right off like this, and then we can kind of sort of see the drivers themselves. They're kind of covered in fabric. Now, the outer covers are actually just held on on with magnets, so you can just kind of snap them on real easily. Looks like the magnets on these are actually much stronger than they were on the last ones. Outside of that, let's just see what else is in the box. Looks like we've got an optical cable included, which is great. You can never really have too many of these laying around. It also seems pretty long, which is awesome. Underneath everything here, we've also got an instruction manual, as well as what I'm assuming is the Dolby Atmos activation code. I'm going to deal with all that later. Looks like we've got a USB Type A to micro USB cable here, same as the last gen, which we'll end up needing to connect the base station to either a PC or an Xbox One. And last but not least, the actual base station itself, which is much smaller than what we've seen in the past. It's also noticeably heavier than before, which will probably help keep it from kind of coming with the headset or moving around the desk when you lift it off of its little magnetic charging contacts. Pretty sharp. Looks like we need to remove several of these little plastic protective pieces. So let's go ahead and get that cared for. Okay, think we got all of it off. So here we go. We've got the little Astro logo on the front there. You can see the little magnetic charging pins here on the top. We've also got a cutout for the bottom of the microphone boom, which helps make sure you don't drop the headset and the base station backwards. And there also seems to be a little bit more molding going on around the base of the headset, which should help it click in and charge better than it did before. All right, on the back here, we've got a switch that moves this between the Xbox and PC modes for wireless chat support, a USB port that you can use to charge the headset via a wire if it's out of juice for some reason and you want to keep playing, which is a super nice touch. You've got an optical in port that you'll use to actually get the audio from your Xbox One into the base station. It's actually totally optional if you're just using it with a PC, because you can always just use USB. And then you've got an optical out pass-through port that can be used to kind of daisy chain the optical connection if needed, which I'm actually planning on using this to connect in line with my 3rd gen headset. So basically I'll end up with 2 wireless headsets connected in here out of the deal, which is going to be great, provided that it works, of course. You've also got a 3.5mm aux input that you'd use to pipe PC or like cell phone audio into your headset. That's in addition to the optical port audio that's coming in. So it's basically super useful if you're listening to music or something else that you only want yourself to hear while you're streaming. And then finally, we've got a micro USB connection that you use to power the base station itself. Let's go ahead and get this box out of the way and check out a bird's eye view of this thing. So like I mentioned, you actually can't dock this thing the wrong way, and that's mostly because of the bottom of the boom mic here. It won't fit since there's only a hole for it on one side. Once you've got it aligned correctly, you can just kind of drop it in the base station like this, which is pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hook everything up to the computer, play around with it for a bit, and then I'll be back in a second with some initial impressions. Okay, so I got everything hooked up, updated the firmware on both the headset and the base station, and got to spend some quality time tweaking the settings, listening to the game audio, and generally just playing around with the headset. Time for some initial impressions. But first, some of you may still be wondering why in the world I would pick up a new 4th gen pair of these A50s when I still have a perfectly good pair of 3rd gen A50s that I have been happily using since they released a couple of years ago. So what's the difference, right? Maybe you're looking at a good deal on the older models and wondering if the new ones are worth the extra cash. Well, for me at least, there are several factors that came into play when deciding whether to upgrade or not. For starters, and this may not sound like such a big deal to some of you, but it's honestly probably about the most important reason for me personally, these headphones right here are not freaking green. So why is that important, right? Well, after I bought my green and gray 3rd gen A50s, I ended up purchasing an Elgato green screen in hopes of using it during my live streams. So some of you probably already see where this is going. Since large portions of this headset is actually a very, very similar green color to the Elgato green screen itself, they end up getting keyed out when you're using it, and well, it just looks really weird. So I could have totally just bitten the bullet and bought a totally different headset, but I really love my A50s. Another option I thought of was just using my 2nd gen wireless A50s when streaming with the green screen, but turns out that I actually bought the Halo green edition of those as well. Clearly, I have a problem. So when I heard that Astro had an updated version of the A50s coming out for the Xbox One that had 0 green in them, I knew I was probably in day one. So that was probably enough for me, but beyond that, these new 4th gen A50s are supposed to have better audio quality, support Dolby Atmos, be lighter weight, have even better battery life than before, a smaller base station, and be easier to drop into the base to charge than they were before. All of which are great. Now, some of those are probably better reasons to upgrade than the color, but hey, if it matters to you, it matters to you, right? For me, I was already happy with the battery life on the last unit. I've done several 9 or 10 hour streams with them, and I've never run out of juice. The sound quality was already excellent, and I eventually figured out how to deal with the problematic drop in to charge base station. You just wiggle it a little bit. So none of that was really a huge deal to me personally. But you know what was a huge deal to me though? Although it's not super obvious, Astro has returned to using the 2.4 gigahertz wireless spectrum for the 4th gen A50s, after a brief stint on the 5 gigahertz spectrum with the 3rd gen model. Now, you might think 5 gigahertz is better than 2.4, and you're not wrong, but depending on the types of devices that you've got in your home, your wireless routers, smartphones, your neighbors' routers, etc., 2.4 gigahertz might be a better option for wireless headsets than 5 gigahertz is. It really just depends on what's floating around in the air near where you game. That's basically the boat that I'm in. Returning to the 2.4 gigahertz on these new ones has already reduced the number of random audio cutouts that I've experienced with these, as my play area contains 2 wireless routers that are both broadcasting 2.4 and 5 gigahertz wireless AC networks. And hey, the range on these is much better than on my 3rd gen units as well. With my old headset, I could make it about 3/4 of the way to the kitchen before grabbing a drink, before the audio would just consistently cut out. And with the new unit, I can totally walk all the way into the kitchen, open the fridge, and grab another beer. Grab the bottle opener, open it up, and never lose audio at all. I've tried this several times and always come away with the exact same results. In my house, the range on these new ones is just better. Exactly like I expected when I ordered them, and that's awesome. Okay, enough of my weird, very specific reason for ordering these. Let's get into a few more quick impressions. Is the sound better? Probably. I'm not an audiophile, and these are not audiophile headphones. They're wireless gaming headphones, and they sound awesome to me. I'm planning on doing some microphone tests soon to see how much better the new mic really is, but from what I've seen online at least, supposedly it is even clearer than it was last time. So that's great. I can tell you that it definitely feels lighter on my head, which is super nice, especially with wireless headphones, which typically are heavier than their wired counterparts. It also seems ever so slightly smaller than the last pair, something that totally concerned me until I put it on, as I'm obviously a glasses wearer, and one of the main reasons that I've loved the A50s in the past is they don't cram the sides of my glasses into the sides of my head like most headsets do. I'm looking at you, Astro A10s. So turns out that even though they are definitely a little bit smaller, they are still super comfortable to me at least. Now, the base station being smaller is also really, really nice since it takes up a little bit less room on my desk. It does still move around a little bit when you're actually inserting and removing the headset. It's not nearly as much as it was on the 3rd gen one, but here's to hoping that Astro basically just puts a large lead plate in the bottom of the next one, so I just don't have to deal with this anymore. Speaking of putting the headset in the base station, does it consistently slot in perfectly and start charging? The real issue with the last unit. Nope, unfortunately not. It does seem as though it's probably going to more consistently click in and charge than the old one, but just carelessly dropping it in there several times to see if it would start charging did prove to be nearly as problematic as on the last one. So still not perfect, probably better than before, but you're still gonna need to watch for that little amber charging light before leaving the room to make sure you don't come back to a dead headset next time. It also seems like the setting that automatically senses the movement and shuts the headphones down when you put them around your neck like this has been tweaked a little bit, as I dropped them around my neck several times and the audio kept playing for quite a bit. So I'm not 100% sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Just thought I would mention it. It's different than before. Oh, and the Astro Command Center, yeah, it is really not set up to deal with 2 pairs of A50s connected simultaneously. It basically just sees the first one that is plugged in, and it doesn't see the second pair at all. Like, at all. But if you unplug the first pair from the computer, it instantly sees the other pair, and you can configure them from there. It's really, really weird. So hopefully Astro updates their Command Center software soon to support those of us with more than one pair of A50s. It seems like it is a relatively niche audience, but also probably simple to fix. Beyond that, I did want to mention that the optical pass-through thing that I mentioned earlier ended up working flawlessly. I was totally able to connect a single optical cable between the base station of my old A50s and the new ones, and I now have 2 pairs up and running with optical audio, which really is going to come in handy if my wife ever wants to listen to the game audio while I'm streaming too, or if I have company over, which is super awesome. So yeah, I need to spend more time with these before I can land on a final verdict on whether or not they were worth the cost of the upgrade, but at the moment, early indications are that they certainly were. I can finally use my green screen again, grab a beer from the fridge without them cutting out when I'm streaming or playing with friends, and they're more comfortable on my head, all along with what's likely better audio and a better microphone. Sounds pretty great to me. If any of you have any particular questions about these, leave those in the comments section below and I will try and help you out if I can. Same thing goes for any comparison video ideas with the 2nd or 3rd generation of these or anything like that that you can come up with. If you've made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. If you didn't totally hate it, maybe consider giving it a thumbs up. It totally does help quite a bit. All my links, including Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and the new Discord server, are located in the description box below. I also wanted to give a special shout out to each and every one of my subscribers here on YouTube. You guys rock. And if you're not subscribed already, but you liked the video, please consider clicking that subscribe button. You did click it, right? No? Please? All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully I will catch each and every one of you in the next one.